timeline jumping means that you have shifted into a new version of Earth. So Earth has infinite versions, and all depending on where you're coming from in every given moment, you will be experiencing a different version of Earth. Welcome to Earth1111. What is a timeline jump? And what is the process step by step that you go through when you are in a timeline shift? And the signs and symptoms that you'll be experiencing personally. So timeline jumps are not some woo-woo fantasy thing. It is actually happening, and this is why you want to definitely stay tuned to the end, because you will know that you are already jumping timelines like never before. So before I get into it, I want to introduce myself, which I always forget to do. I'm Roxanne. I'm an ascension guide, a spiritual teacher, and I talk about everything New Earth, that we are moving through this transition from the old systems into a brand new paradigm. So definitely subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for more videos. So timeline shifting, what happens is we can do it individually or as a major collective. There can be a major collective thing happening, that we have a worldwide timeline jump that just actually happened about a week ago. But I'll get into that later, because I want to talk first about understanding the process that you will experience yourself. Now, you can choose to timeline jump individually. For example, you might decide, I'm going to quit my job that I can't stand. And because you are changing up that future probability of where you've been heading, because you've been working the same job over and over, and you decide to make a change, you can timeline jump that easily. But typically there's something that led you up to that moment. So you have been moving through a shift already that got you to that point where you had that confidence to make that change. So it didn't just happen out of the blue. Okay, so, but when we make a change, there's always a lot of resistance that comes up and a lot of things. So let's get into what happens when we do move through a timeline jump. Now you can, so again, if you're already experiencing where you feel like you're in the flow one day, all of a sudden you crash down, nothing's working out, and you're good and you're bad, that is because you're not integrating and clicking in that new timeline into the body at the 0 point level. So it can feel like you are going crazy because you're up, you're down, you're all around, and that's because you're not fully clicking in into the whole, that new way of being, let's say. But really, timeline jumping means that you have shifted into a new version of Earth. So Earth has infinite versions, and all depending on where you're coming from in every given moment, you will be experiencing a different version of Earth. So that is what timeline jumping is. So think of one timeline, for example, almost like a cartoon. You are moving from one moment to the next, right, down this track, almost like a train. Well, in order to shift, you need to do something to make that happen. Or the cosmos, and we have these major alignments, things like solar flares, things like alignments between stars, planets, things like that, that can actually open up like a lock to allow new energy to come into the system. Now that happened last week, but I'll get into that in a second. So what a timeline is a piece of you that was previously inaccessible. It was locked down, and what happens is when you shift from the inner core outward, almost like a lock opens up, and you have a veil that opens up within yourself, and hidden parts of yourself that you previously did not have access to come up to be processed. Now this can be, number one, physical toxins. So think about a piece of your body that's been kind of like dense, where you've had density, you've had something locked down, and when you open it up, there can be a lot of physical sludge in that area that your body then needs to purge out through the lymph nodes, through the system. So that could be literally heavy metals, physical chemicals in the body, parasites, lots of actually physical things that have to come, which is why last week was pretty difficult for a lot of us, going through a lot of physical purging symptoms, like a detox. And that also happens actually when you go through a cleanse, on that cleansing crisis the first couple days, as your body is releasing massive amounts of sludge and it's processing it and getting it out. It can feel very toxic for a bit. And that is part of the process of timeline jumping. Now, in that could also be stuck emotions. There could be a lot of trauma. Now, think of a certain timeline. That could be, for example, you from a past life, or a piece of you, a soul part that's been locked off since childhood or since billions of years ago. It could be anything, right? And so think of it like a twist, and it's held within the body, certain places. So it could be anywhere in the stomach, in the knee, in your ear. And when it unwinds and opens up, you get to experience those emotions that you didn't process back in the time when that got walled off. Now, the further along your ascension process you go, you will start literally integrating collective timelines, which means you are processing the collective trauma of the dark shadow of the entire, right, this entire time matrix, because a lot of people aren't at that stage yet. So it's kind of like being a pioneer, being an ascension pioneer, being a first runner. You get to go through the darkest layers first to make it easier for other people. So you get to process a lot of that. Now, it gets easier. Sometimes at the beginning it can take months to process something. And later on it gets to the point where it could take hours, days. This one was pretty big last week. We are still going through the unraveling process of this. Now, this could be major emotions coming up, major fears, or depression, anxiety, anger. It could be whatever was locked down in that timeline that you get to now process. So it's almost like past karma, even from our ancestry lineages that they didn't deal with, deferred over and over until you get to deal with it. That's the fun part about being an ascension front runner, which I'm sure a lot of you are. So also with that, you get the mental mind movie. So say, for example, a timeline unlocks. You get to experience the actual visuals of that piece of you, that part of you that went through something in the past. So say, for example, you are unlocking and merging a past timeline or a past life where you existed, say, 800 years ago during some of the horrible things that happened in the world. You might see visuals of what you saw when you were experiencing that lifetime, because time doesn't actually exist. We're just moving through, like I said, this moment to moment, almost like this spoke of a wheel. When you move back into 0 point, you can experience all timelines all at once. And you'll realize that time it's an illusion, which means that every single piece of you, every part of your identity, this is the multidimensional self, this is what we're activating, that you have lived before in the past or the future, can all happen right now. So you might get this mind movie where you are like seeing this vision of something that you went through. And typically, because we are clearing something that keeps us separate from this piece of us, a lot of times it's that death process that part of us went through, right? Could be some huge trauma when we died, and you might be seeing the visual of that. So it can be scary, or you might be seeing just mundane visuals of maybe your home where you lived, or maybe you're seeing certain beings if you are undoing certain timelines that are even beyond this earth. So that's how weird it gets. So you could be thinking, so with this, you could have a lot of thoughts flow into your mind, and you could be feeling like you are crazy. So know that you're not. That almost that kind of schizophrenic kind of like feeling, it could be scary because you could feel like you are losing it, you don't have control. And that's why I always say there's no rush to move through the ascension process, because it could get scary a lot of time when you feel that you have lost control. But you want to make sure that you know that sometimes you just need to allow things to unfold. And what happens is, behind that trauma or that lifetime that's been separate from you, that's been locked down, inaccessible, when you open it up to the whole of you and process through those physical, those emotional, those mental parts, you get the gift of that wisdom, those talents, those gifts, those abilities, that experience that piece of you went through. So remember that we are all the spark of God, the infinite universe, which means that in order to experience everything at once, all these multi-layers of, many things happening, it's almost like we split ourselves up into infinite parts to then be able to then experience so many things all at once. So that's why it could be like you are going crazy, especially when you start losing your own identity in this moment, right? You lose yourself, you feel different. There's so many different things going on, and it can be scary. I know, I've been through this for many years, know that you're okay. I always recommend calming the nervous system, getting into nature, grounding, deep breathing. There's lots of different things. Actually, watch my video, Nervous System Overload or Ascension Crisis. I have lots of different videos on this kind of stuff. So if you need more, definitely check those out, because it can be a scary process. Now, a lot of it too, you could feel that you are just so done, because when you shift, you feel like a different person. You have confidence that you didn't have before. You have talents, you have gifts. You might all of a sudden be this master painter or musician, and before you couldn't even sing, right? Because you get this gift, this wisdom, these talents from other pieces of your identity that were walled off before. So that's also why we feel that a lot of times we just feel so done with our old life. We change in the moment. And this is also really, when you hear about like walk-ins, it's not really a separate soul that's walked in. It's a higher aspect of you that kind of takes over the show and is like, okay, we're done being small. It's time to level up. It's time to really step into our soul mission. It's time to make this decision, or to do this or do that. Now with that, it can come a lot of resistance. Remember, we need to process through all of this baggage that's really attached to this part of us that's been separate. So you need to integrate it fully to the whole. This is why it takes time to move through the whole system of you, all the different systems of your consciousness, your multidimensional self. It can be the point where you are changing timelines every millisecond, every day. There's sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, who's Roxane? She's gone. I'm this new version of myself, right? I'm not some separate being, right? But I'm brand new. And I'm like, all the old BS that I used to worry about, or that really I felt attached to that old identity, it's so gone. It's such a joke at this point, because I am a brand new person. So if you feel like you're losing it, comment below to help others. It really does, because it can be a scary process, that's for sure. Okay, so I want to quickly mention that last week we had a huge collective timeline shift, which really happened because we had that full moon align with Pluto. Now we had the Earth, the Moon, the Sun, and Pluto all align in this vector. And that opened up such a huge opening, almost like a lock within the crystal core of the planet. At the same time, we had a double solar flare that really just went through this whole circuit and just shifted the magnetics in the center core of the planet. And that is why also it popped up a lot of lightning or wildfires all at the same time, because that heat just had to dissipate really, really quickly. Now, again, I will be talking about the wildfires and things like that coming up on EARTH1111. Subscribe for sure, because I'll be talking more about that. But when we have that collective, so we have a planetary shift at the core 0 point level. It's like a lock opening up. And At the beginning, like I said, you can go through all that heaviness, all that purging. It could feel very disorientating, especially when you feel like gravity is gone. You feel like you are this spinning Merkaba, right? Your Kundalini is going crazy. Now that's happening worldwide right now. This is a biggie. This is why we're going to be seeing worldwide shifts happen so quickly. And, you know, like we are already seeing massive shifts happen, let's be honest. But this is going to like be accelerated so quickly here coming from this moment forward, where a lot of times it feels like you like, right, like all is lost, right? The world is gone to hell. There's nothing we can do about it. But then all of a sudden, whoosh, opens up. We integrate higher versions of ourselves into the whole, and remove these separation aspects, right, that are keeping this piece separate, that's keeping this version of Earth separate, more like a probability. It ends up becoming actual reality. So we integrate it, and it's no longer just a probability, it is a reality. And that's going to be happening where all of a sudden a lot of craziness will happen, but in order to then purge out a lot of the old systems and the corruption, all the things happening in the world. So know that we are rapidly going through timeline shifts. It's real, you're experiencing this. Now, if you're not experiencing this, I recommend tuning out a lot of these toxic technologies, right? Get off the computer, get into nature, get into organic light codes, organic grid places where you can then merge with the organic biorhythms of the planet to then activate your own DNA. Because you gotta realize the old system out there wants to keep you toxic, wants to keep you very full of physical toxins, emotional, right? That constant fight or flight where your hormones are out of whack, you're always in that fear or anger stage. It wants to keep you busy, the monkey mind, the negative thoughts, right? So there's a lot going on to try to keep you distracted from what's going on. But I know that you're definitely, if you're watching my videos, and if you're new to my channel, know that this video found you to tell you that you are shifting. These are the symptoms, the signs, and you'll be continuing to go through this. It can get crazy. You can feel like you are going crazy, like you're losing your identity, because we like to attach to these identities. So it's a way of understanding our place in the world. And when you feel like all the things you used to love about yourself, or all the passions you used to have, or the interests, you feel like you're kind of numb to all of them, like you're just over them. You don't care about a lot of stuff that you used to care about. Know that that is okay. That is a sign that you are shifting identities, merging with higher identities of self. And the old kind of small little ego petty self that worried about, right, your looks all the time, that worried about money, that worried about all these kind of surface level things, it gets to be less important, and you get to the core level where you start having new passions open up. Remember I said new gifts, talents, strengths, wisdom, and experience. And if you're willing to step into the unknown, to follow that feeling within yourself, then magic is going to start. Now I'm giving away a free course called Manifesting 2.0 New Earth Abundance until the Lionsgate 888 portal on August 8th. This will be with any purchase of one of my other courses, Ascension Magic or Epic Shift CEO. So if you're ready to dive deep, right now we are in that pivotal moment of stepping into our dreams, and not just financial freedom, but I want you to make sure that you are in that flow of infinite abundance on every single level, health-wise, love, creativity, everything. We are in just that energy is so heightened right now that you don't want to waste it. So if you want to go deep and transform your life on every single level, inside and out, then definitely sign up before August 8th, and I will give you that Manifesting 2.0 course completely free. So thank you so much. You can check out some more in the description box below for more details, and my website, earth1111.com. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share my videos on your social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. Follow me there for different content. And if this video helps you, please give it a thumbs up and share it, and comment below what you are going to manifest this potent Lionsgate portal and the energies of August that are just ripe for brand new beginnings. Lots of love. I'm Roxanne. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon on Earth 1111. Take care. Bye.